What is going on, Raiders? Soda Dragon here. Welcome and I hope you guys are doing well. So what have I got for you guys today? Well, let's talk about the legendary champion Ragash before you go and pull your 150 ancient shards to get him in this guaranteed champ event. Now guys, overall I think he's a great champ, but is he going to be a great champ for you? I think that's a different question. So what are some cons with this guy? Well, the first thing is you might see this as a benefit, but I see it as a con, that he acts as a debuffer slash damage dealer. Now, if you plan to use this guy in the arena, well, you're going to need to build him with crit rate, crit damage, and defense for him to do damage. But after that, you're going to need to build him with accuracy too. Remember, he's going to be your debuffer, right? 2-in-1. Well, that's really hard. It's hard to build 4 really high stats on any champion. So if you plan to go against go first teams in the arena, then yeah, your accuracy doesn't have to be that high because typically they're not going to be high resistance. But if you plan to go after those tankier teams in the arena, I mean, watch out. Chances are you're not going to have enough accuracy to debuff those tankier, Duchess teams, plus do enough damage to them. Now for PvE, it's not that big a deal, but for PvP, yes, it is a big deal. And this is why typically you split up the roles on your arena team. Like one champ might be the debuffer, one champ might be the buffer, and one champ might be the damage dealer. It would have been a lot better if this A2 had a buff on it instead of debuff, because the buff doesn't require any specific stats. Now you guys might be saying, well, the A1 does have a buff on it, right? So you can use the A1 and then the A2. And my question is, what are we talking about? The arena? You're really going to get a chance to use that A1 buff himself and then use that A2? I mean, maybe, but that seems like a complicated setup. Another arena-specific issue with this guy is finding turn meter boosters / increased defense champions. Now, they are not that common compared to turn meter boosters / increased attack champions. I mean, if you got Sifi, sure, she's gonna be your best bet, but do you have her? Now, there are other champs like Doomscreech here, Kinagashi, and Tarshan that can do that turn meter boost / increased defense, but do you have one of these champs ready to support your Ragash in the arena? Now, another general issue to consider is typically defense-based nukers do not do as much damage as attack-based nukers. Now, I love defense-based nukers. I love my Solus. It's really nice to have a tanky champion that can also do damage, but there's a trade-off. Don't believe for a second that those defense-based damage dealers and nukers can even compete with those attack-based ones. They cannot. Now guys, trust me, I love my defense-based damage dealers. I love my Solus, but you know what? To compare him against a Trunda or a Hefrak, it's kind of a joke. So that's just a general point to consider when using a defense-based damage dealer, that they're not going to do as much damage as your attack-based damage dealers. Now, while we're on the issue of damage, here's the thing. You know Drexar Blood Twin? He has better damage multipliers on his AoE than Ragash. That is, Ragash's damage multipliers, in my opinion, aren't that great. And remember guys, Drexar is an accessible champion that everyone can get through the tag team bazaar. The thing is, Drexar's damage multipliers for his A2 are much higher than Ragash's. Not just a little bit, much higher. And you know who else has much higher damage multipliers than Ragash and is a defense-based damage dealer, just like Drexar here? Another champion you might have heard of. Marquez. Yes, sir, A2 here has better damage multipliers than Ragash. Now, some of you guys out there might say, well, Ragash, he's a legendary. His base damage is much higher than hers. And yes, it is. It's about 400 higher than hers. But she can double hit on this A2. He cannot. So she has less base damage, but she can double hit. Something to think about. And if we go back to Drexar too, I mean, his damage multipliers are much higher than Ragash's, and his base defense is about the same. So think about that. Another thing to consider if you plan to use Ragash in the arena as your debuffer / damage dealer is in the arena against go first teams, you're going to go up against Trundas and different blue affinity or magic affinity champions. And you know what? Against those common champs, you can weak hit. So champs like Trunda, champs like Foley, champs like Kaimar, yeah, you can weak hit. And those are typically those go first champions that you're going to fight. And remember guys, if you plan to use Ragash against your go second teams, your slower Duchess type teams, you're asking a lot of your Ragash. I mean, come on. High accuracy, high defense, high crit damage, high crit rate. Really? Against high resistance teams, he's not going to have enough accuracy to debuff him. And if he does, it's at the cost of damage. Now guys, if you plan to use him for PvE, that's completely different. I think this champion is completely fine as he is, but I do have concerns with PvP. So if you want this guy as your defense-based nuker in the arena, you're gonna have to know his limitations, and there are plenty of them. All right, guys, that is about it. Now, if you still want him for the arena, that's fine, as long as you know his limitations. I definitely think for upper arena in particular, he definitely has limited use there, but for early arena, he could probably do a lot for you. All right, guys, make sure to let me know in the comments if you're gonna pull for him and what you plan to use him for. So thanks for watching, and if you guys haven't yet, like, subscribe, and share. Turn on all notifications. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.